Justice for Yu Menglong: Why China's most powerful red families are involved. Yu Menglong wasn't just another rising star in China's entertainment industry. He was a phenomenon. Known for his piercing eyes and a voice that could convey heartbreak with a single note, Yu had become the face of a generation that craved authenticity in a world of polished celebrity facades. Fans flooded his social media accounts, each post a testament to their devotion. Movie premieres, live concerts, and award shows. Yu commanded attention wherever he went. But behind the smiles and red carpets, something darker was stirring. For months, those closest to him noticed a change. Yu, once exuberant and outgoing, began keeping odd hours. Meetings were cancelled at the last minute. He avoided certain friends and colleagues. And most chillingly, he confided in his driver and a small inner circle that he felt he was being watched. What exactly was he afraid of? No one outside that inner circle knew until now. In the 6 months leading to his death, Yu's life became a series of strange incidents that would later form a troubling pattern. Sources claim he received cryptic phone calls with no caller ID, messages that vanished before being read, and invitations to meetings that ended abruptly or were abruptly cancelled. He was seen in public with unfamiliar individuals who disappeared as quickly as they appeared. Friends describe Yu's behavior as cautious, almost paranoid. He stopped attending late-night industry events, avoided certain restaurants, and even changed his commuting routes. He wasn't acting like himself, one close associate revealed. It was like he knew something bad was coming. And then, on the night of his death, the unthinkable happened. Yu Menglong wasn't just another rising star in China's entertainment industry. He was a phenomenon. Known for his piercing eyes and a voice that could convey heartbreak with a single note, Yu had become the face of a generation that craved authenticity in a world of polished celebrity facades. Fans flooded his social media accounts, each post a testament to their devotion. Movie premieres, live concerts, and award shows. Yu commanded attention wherever he went. But behind the smiles and red carpets, something darker was stirring. For months, those closest to him noticed a change. Yu, once exuberant and outgoing, began keeping odd hours. Meetings were cancelled at the last minute. He avoided certain friends and colleagues. And most chillingly, he confided in his driver and a small inner circle that he felt he was being watched. What exactly was he afraid of? No one outside that inner circle knew until now. In the 6 months leading to his death, Yu's life became a series of strange incidents that would later form a troubling pattern. Sources claim he received cryptic phone calls with no caller ID, messages that vanished before being read, and invitations to meetings that ended abruptly or were abruptly cancelled. He was seen in public with unfamiliar individuals who disappeared as quickly as they appeared. Friends describe Yu's behavior as cautious, almost paranoid. He stopped attending late-night industry events, avoided certain restaurants, and even changed his commuting routes. He wasn't acting like himself, one close associate revealed. It was like he knew something bad was coming. And then, on the night of his death, the unthinkable happened. Details of that night remain partially obscured by official silence, but eyewitness accounts and leaked reports give a haunting glimpse. Yu Menglong was last seen leaving a private gathering with 2 individuals whose identities are still under investigation. Surveillance footage captured fleeting moments: a tense exchange in a dimly lit alley, a car idling for an unusually long time, and a figure watching from the shadows. Within hours, the news broke. Yu Menglong had passed away under circumstances that remained shrouded in mystery. Initial reports suggested natural causes, but as the investigation unfolded, inconsistencies in official statements began to emerge. Fans and journalists alike began asking questions that could no longer be ignored. The death of a celebrity always ignites public emotion, but Yu's case was different. The scale of online outrage was unprecedented, fueled by rumors of foul play, leaked surveillance footage, and the sudden emergence of previously unknown connections between Yu and China's elite political circles. Social media in China erupted. Hashtags demanding justice for Yu Menglong trended for days. Online forums were filled with speculation, and fan groups organized digital vigils, sharing clips, photos, and testimonies from people who had been close to him. Yet, even as the public demanded answers, the investigation seemed to move in slow motion. Each official statement felt carefully worded, each press release cryptic, feeding a sense that there was far more to Yu Menglong's death than the public was being told. What makes Yu Menglong's story so chilling is not just his untimely death. It's the suggestion that his passing may have exposed a hidden world, a shadow network of influence where money, politics, and power converge. According to insiders, Yu had inadvertently stumbled into dangerous territory, making him a target of forces far beyond the reach of ordinary law enforcement. His death became a lens, magnifying the invisible lines of power and privilege that govern China's elite circles. What seemed like a personal tragedy was, in fact, the first domino to fall in a larger, more explosive story, one that would implicate individuals with deep connections to China's most powerful red families. Yu Menglong's life was brilliant, short, and mysteriously entangled with forces most could never imagine. But this was only the beginning. In China, not all families are created equal. Some names carry a legacy that extends far beyond wealth or fame. These are the red families, descendants of revolutionary leaders, generals, and high-ranking Communist Party officials. Their power is woven into the very fabric of modern China. Positions in government, finance, and business are often inherited, passed down quietly but ruthlessly. To cross them is not just risky, it can be fatal. Yu Menglong's death has cast an unprecedented spotlight on these families, raising the question: how could a young celebrity possibly intersect with China's untouchable elite? Red families are often called the aristocracy of the revolution. Their ancestors fought in the wars that shaped modern China, and their influence persists in boardrooms, ministries, and political councils. These families are tightly networked, loyal to one another, and extremely protective of their legacies. Experts note that their power isn't just political, it's also social and economic. Owning businesses, controlling media channels, or quietly funding ventures gives them leverage over decisions that affect millions. And when someone outside their circle becomes involved in their affairs, it can create a collision course with consequences few can survive. Sources close to the investigation suggest that Yu Menglong's involvement with certain influential individuals was both accidental and dangerous. Over the last year of his life, Yu had attended events where political elites mingled with entertainment figures. It seems he became an unwitting participant in private negotiations and secret alliances, some of which may have threatened the interests of powerful families. Leaked communications hint at meetings in luxury hotels and private estates, where Yu was introduced to people whose names rarely appear in the media. While these encounters may have started innocently, insiders say they became increasingly tense. He was out of his depth, a source revealed. He didn't realize how seriously they take loyalty, and how far they'll go to protect their secrets. What makes the red families particularly dangerous is their reach. Investigators suggest that connections could influence business contracts, media narratives, and even law enforcement responses. In practical terms, this means that a death like Yu Menglong's could be managed, controlled, or hidden in ways ordinary people can't comprehend. For the first time, the public is beginning to see that Yu's passing might not have been just a tragic accident, but rather a spark that exposed cracks in a system designed to be untouchable. Anonymous sources now claim that several Red family members were in contact with individuals in Yu's inner circle shortly before his death. Some were reportedly interested in business deals or entertainment projects that Yu was involved in, while others may have been protecting family reputations. Social media sleuths have connected dots between Yu's last known meetings and public appearances of these elite families, sparking a viral debate. Many fans are asking, did Yu stumble into something he wasn't meant to see? And if so, did this make him a target? The involvement of Red families transforms Yu Menglong's death from a celebrity tragedy into a story with political and social consequences. It raises questions about influence, corruption, and justice. Can justice be served when the most powerful families may have a stake in the outcome? How many hidden networks are shaping events behind closed doors? And most importantly, how did a young star like Yu Menglong find himself in the center of it all? What started as a mysterious death is now a nationwide conversation about power, secrecy, and accountability. Yu Menglong's driver had been with him for years, quietly observing the life of a star from the front seat of a luxury sedan. Loyal, discreet, and deeply trusted, he became an unexpected key to understanding the final hours of a man who seemed untouchable, and yet now tragically vulnerable. What he revealed has sent shockwaves through China's entertainment circles, and raised questions that authorities may struggle to answer. According to the driver, Yu had confided that he felt watched, not just by fans or paparazzi, but by individuals with far-reaching influence. He didn't say names at first, the driver explained, speaking under anonymity. But the fear in his eyes was real. He kept looking over his shoulder, checking phones, making sudden changes to his schedule. The driver recalled a series of incidents leading up to Yu's death. Strange phone calls, unmarked numbers, calls that ended abruptly, messages that disappeared before being read. Unexpected meetings, invitations to private gatherings at luxury hotels, sometimes cancelled last minute, sometimes attended by unfamiliar figures in suits. Odd encounters on the street, individuals seemingly following you, yet vanishing when approached. He told me he couldn't trust anyone, the driver said. Even people in the entertainment industry were acting strange. He said something about powerful families, people who could ruin careers or worse, lives. On the fateful day, the driver remembers Yu being unusually tense. Meetings were scheduled, then cancelled. There were calls that Yu refused to answer, glances exchanged with unknown individuals, and moments of silence that spoke volumes. The driver's account paints a picture of a man caught in a web. I dropped him off at the meeting and he turned to me and said, "If anything happens to me, tell them the truth." It sounded final. Surveillance footage, now partially leaked online, corroborates parts of his account. It shows Yu entering a private building, speaking briefly to two men whose faces are only partially visible. Hours later, news of his death broke. Beyond the driver, other close associates of Yu have shared hints about his fears. A stylist, a personal assistant, and a longtime friend have all described a man increasingly withdrawn, wary of the people he once trusted. They noticed unusual changes. Cancelling long-planned appearances at high-profile events. Requesting security escorts, sometimes at unexpected hours. Expressing concern over ongoing projects that had attracted attention from influential figures. All these details suggest that Yu's final days were not only physically dangerous but mentally harrowing, a young star entangled in forces far beyond the entertainment industry. The driver's testimony is significant because it provides a first-hand perspective of the unseen threats Yu faced. Unlike media speculation or anonymous leaks, these accounts come from someone who was present in the moments leading up to his death. Investigators are reportedly examining every call log, message, and travel record from Yu's final weeks. The goal? To determine whether his death was accidental, orchestrated, or a tragic intersection of multiple powerful interests. What's clear is this: Yu Menglong's final hours were marked by fear, tension, and encounters with individuals whose influence reaches into China's most elite circles. His death may not have been random. It could have been the result of forces working behind the scenes, forces that ordinary citizens, and even fans, could scarcely imagine. As the investigation into Yu Menglong's death deepened, a pattern began to emerge. His final months were not just marked by fear and strange encounters, they were also intertwined with some of China's most influential people. The web of connections reaches into business, politics, and even families whose power is often described as untouchable. According to insider reports and partially leaked logs, Yu had been invited to private gatherings where entertainment, business, and political elites intersected. These were not ordinary industry mixers. They were exclusive events held in luxury estates, high-end hotels, and private yachts. or cements and opportunities that came with strings attached. Strings that tied him, intentionally or not, to circles of extraordinary influence. Some of the individuals reportedly present included business tycoons with stakes in entertainment companies, real estate and media outlets. Rising political figures with direct ties to influential red families. Middlemen and advisors who serve as liaisons between the worlds of politics and celebrity. Sources indicate that during these meetings, Yu may have been offered contracts, endorsements and opportunities that came with strings attached. Strings that tied him, intentionally or not, to circles of extraordinary influence. What makes these connections particularly dangerous is the involvement of red families. These families are descendants of revolutionary leaders whose influence can span generations. They are known to operate quietly but decisively, protecting their legacies and interests with unmatched determination. According to leaks, several members of these families had direct or indirect interactions with Yu Menglong. Some of these interactions appear benign, formal introductions or business discussions, but others carry hints of coercion, subtle threats, and the enforcement of loyalty. The implication is chilling. A young celebrity, admired by millions, may have been caught in a power struggle between forces that are untouchable by law, public opinion, or even other members of the elite. Investigators reportedly uncovered text messages and emails showing repeated invitations from unidentified individuals tied to high-level political families. Private surveillance footage indicating meetings in secret locations, often late at night, with figures who quickly disappeared afterward. Financial transactions that suggest contracts and payments outside the usual entertainment channels, possibly controlled or monitored by elite intermediaries. These pieces of evidence are just fragments, but when viewed together, they paint a picture of a man ensnared in a world where every move is observed and every association carries potential danger. Yu Menglong's interactions with these elite circles may hold the key to understanding the circumstances of his death. If the claims are verified, it means powerful individuals may have had stakes in his projects, reputation, or actions. His death might have been linked not just to personal conflicts but to broader struggles involving influence, loyalty, and secrecy. The investigation is no longer just about a celebrity. It is about accountability in a sphere traditionally insulated from scrutiny. News of these potential connections has ignited social media. Fans, journalists, and independent investigators have been piecing together timelines, analyzing leaked footage, and speculating about the identities of the unnamed elites. Every new piece of evidence fuels outrage and curiosity, with hashtags demanding transparency and justice trending across platforms. China's most powerful families are no longer behind closed doors. Their influence is being questioned, debated, and, for the first time, challenged in public discourse. Yu Menglong's death is not just a tragic loss of a beloved celebrity. It is a story that intertwines politics, power, and secrecy in ways few could have imagined. What makes this case extraordinary is how it exposes the invisible forces at work behind China's elite circles, and why ordinary channels of justice may not apply. Unlike typical celebrity cases, Yu Menglong's story has potential political implications. Sources suggest that his interactions with red families and influential elites were not limited to entertainment contracts. They may have included discussions that touched on business deals, media influence, and, alarmingly, political leverage. Some insiders claim that Yu inadvertently became a witness, or a pawn, in negotiations that could shift influence among some of China's most powerful dynasties. If true, his death could have been more than a personal tragedy. It may have served as a warning or an attempt to prevent sensitive information from spreading. "It's not just about a celebrity anymore," a former industry executive said. "It's about who controls information, who decides loyalty, and how far some people will go to protect their legacies." From the moment of Yu's death, official media coverage was minimal and carefully curated. Few details were released, and statements were vague, fueling suspicion. The lack of transparency created a vacuum quickly filled by social media, independent investigators, and international observers. Fans and online sleuths began analyzing leaked surveillance footage, social media activity before and after Yu's death, Possible connections to business and political figures. The controlled silence by mainstream channels, combined with viral leaks, has only intensified public curiosity. In a sense, the more information was withheld, the louder the demand for answers grew. Leaked documents and testimonies have added fuel to a fire already raging across social platforms. These include a private communications hinting at meetings with influential elites, a financial records showing unusual transactions, possibly connected to contracts or hush arrangements, witness testimonies that paint a picture of fear, coercion, and extraordinary pressure in Yu's final days. Though authorities have not confirmed these leaks, independent investigators argue that even fragments of evidence suggest the involvement of powerful interests, enough to warrant unprecedented scrutiny. Social media has become a battlefield. Hashtags demanding justice for Yu Menglong trend daily. Online forums dissect every new detail. Fans and activists question why those involved with elite families seem insulated from accountability. This public pressure is unprecedented. In the past, celebrity deaths, tragic as they were, rarely triggered debates about elite influence and accountability. Yu Menglong's case has done exactly that, forcing millions to confront questions most prefer to ignore. How untouchable are China's red families? What lengths will the elite go to protect their legacy? And can justice exist when the stakes involve the nation's most powerful dynasties? For the first time, a celebrity death in China is not just a domestic story. International media and observers are scrutinizing the investigation, piecing together the connections between entertainment, politics, and elite families. This level of scrutiny increases the stakes for everyone involved, because in a globalized age, secrets are never fully contained. Yu Menglong's death has thus become a lens through which the world is beginning to see the interplay of fame, power, and influence in a society often shrouded in silence. What might have been dismissed as a tragedy is now a story with far-reaching implications. In China, the term red families is more than just a historical label. These are families whose ancestors shaped modern China through revolutionary leadership, military command, or high-level political office. Today, their descendants inherit not only wealth but networks of influence that can extend across government, finance, media, and business. Yu Menglong's final months appear to have intersected with these families, raising critical questions. Were his interactions purely professional? Or had he inadvertently stepped into a dangerous game of power, loyalty, and secrecy? Red families are descendants of revolutionary leaders who fought in the wars that established the People's Republic of China. Their influence is multi-generational and carefully maintained. Many have become key players in politics, holding positions in government agencies, ministries, or party councils, business, controlling enterprises in real estate, media, finance, and entertainment, media and public relations, owning or influencing outlets that shape public narratives. Because of these intertwined roles, the actions of these families often escape public scrutiny. A misstep, or a threat to their legacy, can trigger measures both subtle and severe. Investigative sources and leaked reports suggest that several prominent red families had indirect or direct involvement with Yu Menglong in his last year. While many of the names are withheld due to ongoing investigations, patterns of interaction have emerged. 1. Family A. Known for decades of political influence, with members in provincial leadership roles and stakes in entertainment conglomerates. Yu reportedly attended meetings at properties linked to this family. 2. Family B. Business-oriented dynasty with deep ties to media control. Sources claim they had indirect influence over projects Yu was working on, which may have put him in conflict with existing interests. 3. Family C. A younger generation rising in politics, reportedly interested in leveraging celebrity influence for broader networking. Yu's interactions with them, sources suggest, may have inadvertently exposed sensitive negotiations. While official confirmation is scarce, the combination of leaked messages, eyewitness reports, and financial records points to a convergence of Yu Menglong with powerful elites who guard their secrets fiercely. The danger these families represent is not theoretical. Their influence is pervasive. A legal protection. Allegedly able to sway investigations or ensure silence in sensitive matters. Economic leverage. Control over contracts, endorsements, and media narratives can dictate careers. Social networks. Connections across ministries, businesses, and private security provide them a safety net few can challenge. For a young celebrity like you, this meant that a misstep, or merely being in the wrong place at the wrong time, could trigger consequences beyond imagination. What makes this story explosive is that Yu Menglong was not just an entertainer. He was someone with visibility, credibility, and influence over public perception. Any interaction between him and these elite families could carry significant consequences. Revealing information they preferred to remain private. Or becoming a figure whose actions could shift public or business opinion. Acting as an accidental witness to negotiations or power struggles behind closed doors. Leaked reports suggest that even before his death, Yu's movements were being monitored. Some insiders claim that his final interactions with members of these families were tense and possibly confrontational. While the exact details remain unverified, the implications are undeniable. His death has cast a spotlight on circles usually hidden from public view. Yu Menglong's story is no longer just about a celebrity tragedy. It's about power, secrecy, and accountability. The Red families, with their decades-long influence, represent a system where legacies matter more than law, loyalty is paramount, and a single misstep can be deadly. Yu Menglong's last months were marked by a series of events that, when pieced together, reveal a troubling pattern of fear, secrecy, and high-level intrigue. By examining these moments chronologically, we can begin to understand how a beloved celebrity became entangled with China's most powerful families, and why his death may have been far from accidental. Around 6 months before his death, Yu began noticing unusual patterns in his life. Friends and colleagues noticed a change in his demeanor. He became increasingly cautious about whom he met. Phone calls from unknown numbers became more frequent, some ending abruptly. Messages vanished before he could read them. Leaked accounts suggest that Yu confided in his driver and a small inner circle that he felt watched. He said something about people he couldn't trust, people with power, his driver later recalled. About 4 months before his death, Yu began receiving invitations to private events involving influential figures. Luxury hotels in Beijing and Shanghai hosted gatherings of business tycoons, political figures, and members of Red families. Yu reportedly met intermediaries who acted as liaisons between celebrities and elite circles. While some meetings offered career opportunities, others allegedly included veiled warnings about loyalty and discretion. Sources suggest these encounters made Yu increasingly anxious. He didn't want to go, but he felt he had no choice, said a close friend. He said that ignoring them could be dangerous, but attending also came with risks. 2 months before his death, insiders report that tension escalated. Yu changed his usual routes to avoid being followed. Meetings were cancelled at the last minute. Surveillance footage shows unidentified individuals appearing near his residence and hotel locations. Leaked messages hint at disagreements with individuals linked to Red families, although the exact content remains unknown. Some analysts suggest these could have been disputes over projects, loyalty, or information Yu may have inadvertently learned. 1 month before his death, Yu reportedly attended several high-profile events where powerful individuals were present. At a private dinner, he allegedly met members of a political family whose interests overlapped with entertainment and media. According to the driver, Yu became visibly nervous afterward, noting that certain people watch everything. Financial records suggest he received unusual transfers and payments outside standard contracts, possibly tied to projects under the scrutiny of elite families. In the week leading up to his death, sources indicate, Yu met with previously unknown individuals in secluded locations. His driver recalls him mentioning specific names he had never encountered before, suggesting high-level involvement. Security footage shows Yu speaking briefly with 2 men in suits, who left abruptly, hours before his death. This period is considered the most critical. Everything points to Yu being aware of a threat, yet unsure of its source. On the day of his death, Yu reportedly cancelled one meeting but attended another last-minute appointment in a private estate. The driver notes that Yu appeared tense, frequently checking phones and glancing over his shoulder. Eyewitness accounts and leaked surveillance footage indicate brief encounters with unidentified individuals shortly before the tragedy occurred. Within hours, news broke of Yu Menglong's passing, and the investigation began. But the layers of secrecy surrounding the case ensured that questions far outnumbered answers. Piecing these events together, a chilling picture emerges. Yu Menglong's interactions with influential individuals were frequent and increasingly tense. He was aware of potential threats and took precautions, but those precautions were not enough. His death occurred at the intersection of entertainment, politics, and elite influence, suggesting his passing may not have been entirely coincidental. This timeline forms the backbone of a story that is both tragic and explosive. Yu Menglong's life, career, and final months were entangled with forces most could scarcely imagine, and his death has forced a spotlight onto those forces. Yu Menglong's death may have initially appeared as a tragic accident, but a growing body of evidence suggests a far more complex and chilling story. Leaked communications, surveillance footage, and insider testimonies provide glimpses into a web of influence, power, and secrecy, one that implicates individuals connected to China's most elite families. Investigators and independent journalists analyzing leaked emails, text messages, and private chats have identified several patterns. Unmarked calls and messages. Yu received repeated messages from unknown numbers in the months leading up to his death. Some were warnings, others were instructions or invitations to secret meetings. Encrypted emails. Sources indicate that Yu exchanged emails with intermediaries linked to powerful business and political families. The contents remain mostly confidential, but snippets suggest discussions about projects, favors, and influence. Digital surveillance. Yu's devices reportedly captured repeated attempts to access personal data, possibly indicating that someone was monitoring his movements and communications. These communications suggest that Yu's final months were dominated not by entertainment concerns but by interactions with people whose influence extended far beyond the screen. Surveillance footage leaked online and to investigative teams adds another layer of intrigue. Analysts have identified unfamiliar figures appearing near Yu's residence and work locations on multiple occasions, often vanishing quickly. Private meetings in dimly lit corridors of luxury hotels, where Yu exchanged brief but tense conversations with unknown individuals. Suspicious car movements. Vehicles associated with unknown parties were reportedly seen following Yu's car, disappearing moments later. Experts emphasize that while this footage is circumstantial, it forms a disturbing pattern. Yu is being watched, possibly by individuals with significant resources and connections. Those closest to Yu Menglong, his driver, assistants, and friends, have provided detailed accounts that corroborate the leaked communications and footage. Fear and paranoia. Yu repeatedly expressed concerns about being followed or observed. Mysterious meetings. He attended private gatherings that seemed unrelated to his career, some of which involved individuals linked to elite families. Final warnings. Hours before his death, Yu reportedly told his driver, "If anything happens to me, make sure the truth comes out." These insider accounts reveal a man increasingly aware of danger and caught between forces beyond his control. When combined, leaked communications, surveillance footage, and insider testimony point to a startling conclusion. Yu Menglong's death occurred at the intersection of fame, power, and politics. Powerful families had a vested interest in controlling information and appearances. Yu's presence in private meetings may have made him an unintended witness, or obstacle to their plans. His final days suggest both observation and pressure, culminating in a tragic outcome. What emerges is not merely a celebrity death, but a story of influence and secrecy that spans generations of power. These revelations explain why the case has captured global attention. Transparency is limited. Investigations are ongoing, but powerful connections may influence outcomes. Public scrutiny is unprecedented. Fans, journalists, and online investigators are piecing together the puzzle. Potential for accountability. Leaks and evidence make it harder for powerful actors to operate behind the scenes unchecked. Yu Menglong's death may have been the catalyst that exposes networks of influence long considered untouchable.